From the National Weather Service in Raleigh, it's Nick Petro with your routine early weekly briefing for Central North Carolina. I say early week because normally we host these briefings on Monday morning, but because yesterday's holiday, Memorial Day holiday, we're doing our routine Monday briefing on Tuesday. So we'll pick back up on Thursday with our routine schedule, and then of course next week we'll have our briefing on Monday. But anyway, this briefing covers the period the 26th through the 31st of May, so right through the end of the month. Let me just quickly switch over to the current weather, and let me put this in play mode, and you can see temperatures right now are hanging out in the upper 60s to lower 70s. That was slightly dated there, that first frame of the loop. But you can see that there is, and as it's loading, I apologize for the flashing there, but as it loads and fills in, you'll see there's a bit of rain there over South Carolina and some banded shower activity just off the east coast of Florida. All of that activity is associated with an area of low pressure over the peninsula of Florida near the Orlando area, and that low pressure center will lift north across the southeast states over the next couple of days, and consequently all that rain you see to our south will also lift north and cross central North Carolina in some fashion over the next 2 days. So you can see there's a bit of rain headed our way. It won't be raining the entire time, but there could be some pockets and instances from time to time over, particularly on Wednesday, particularly tomorrow, where there could be some steadier, heavier downpours, and that could lead to some localized flooding concerns. So I'll get to that in a moment. All right, let's get back to our slides here, and we can see the weather pattern. If you look in the upper left, you'll see an L there over east central Florida. There's that low pressure I just mentioned. That low is going to lift to the north, and it's not really depicted on the midweek panel there, but it's basically will be crossing central North Carolina over the course of the next 36 hours or so, 48 hours maybe. But it's not going to be particularly strong. It's weak and it'll get absorbed into the flow. Unfortunately, it looks like after that little weather disturbance passes by to our north, we're going to be caught between two weather systems that will keep our area quite moist. Namely, this front, look at this front right here over the Ohio Valley and Tennessee Valley. And there's a high pressure centered offshore, Bermuda high style type. Here's Bermuda, by the way. So, and we will be in a southerly flow in between those. And anytime you have a convergent and southerly flow, that promotes shower development, some rain, maybe even a thunderstorm. So the risk for rain, even after that little weather disturbance blows through here tomorrow, we're still going to have a wet forecast for Thursday, Friday, and even into Saturday, because that front you see there in the late week panel will eventually push through, and that front's expected to push through Sunday morning. And then finally, after that front moves through, you see that big H over Ohio and the southern Great Lakes. That'll set up across the east early next week, well, starting Sunday, that is, and bring us some a little bit fresher air mass, drier, maybe a touch cooler, and just pleasant weather for the rest of the weekend, Sunday particularly, and into Monday. All right, so the key thing I want to point out there is that second bullet. Moderate to heavy rain is expected Wednesday into Thursday. This could lead to flash flooding of poor drainage areas and additional rises on already elevated streams and creeks. So obviously we've had a lot of rain here in the last 2 weeks, so any heavy downpours may quickly evolve into a flash flooding situation. And we'll have to keep our eyes on that really until that front blows through here early Sunday, because rain will remain in the forecast. All right. How much rain, in case you're wondering? Well, basically not a whole lot today, because it's going to take a little while for that rain to lift up from the south. That rain will probably move in tonight. So if you look at the Wednesday panel, that highlights over an inch of rain possible across a large portion of central North Carolina, and then just basically off and on rain Thursday, Friday, Saturday, with that frontal system in our area between the two. So look for each day perhaps a half inch, maybe as much as of an inch. When you add up the 7-day totals, obviously Sunday and Monday will be dry with that front push to our south. When you add up the 7-day totals, we're looking at a couple inches of rain possible, 1 to 3 inches, locally higher amounts. And again, that could lead to some flash flooding and flooding on elevated streams and creeks that are already elevated. This is a product, I featured this last week, and I'll feature it again. It's the Weather Prediction Center Excessive Rain Outlook. The point of this graphic is to show you which areas have the best chance for flash flooding. And the green shade there is marginal, and that means that localized flooding, isolated flash flooding is possible, affecting places that can experience rapid runoff with heavy rain. So, your typical low spots. And you can see we're highlighted a large portion of central North Carolina, most of North Carolina, is either in the marginal or slight risk. Now, slight risk means scattered, a little bit more frequent in additional locations. So again, isolated significant flash flooding is possible. It just depends on what areas get, repetitively hit. But you could see a large portion of North Carolina is under that slight category. So this would suggest that the risk for the worst flash flooding would be mainly areas south and west of Raleigh, of the triangle. All right, and then obviously that risk for flash flooding continues into the late week period with rain off and on in the forecast through the end of the week. All right, what about severe thunderstorms? It looks like there's a marginal risk across coastal South Carolina today, and then that pushes a little bit further inland and north for Wednesday, but most of central North Carolina is just in the general thunderstorm, which means really there's not an expectation of severe thunderstorms. We can never rule out an isolated severe storm in May and this time of year in the warm season, so I don't want to say it's 0% chance of severe storms, but the best chances are to our south. All right, and that looks like that's about it. That's in terms of highlighted for central North Carolina for severe thunderstorms in the next 8 days. I wanted to point out, because this may have caught some folks' attention, the 5-day tropical weather outlook, or the graphical tropical weather outlook. This was a special tropical weather outlook. In fact, routine daily tropical weather outlooks will begin on the 1st of June, which is the traditional start of the hurricane season. Anytime there's something that they're looking at, they can issue these special ones, quote unquote, special tropical weather outlooks. And of course, this morning there was one highlighted. Again, they're indicating weak surface lows formed within an upper trough near Orlando, Florida. Little, if any, further development is expected due to land interaction, strong upper level winds, and abundance of dry air. However, if you go to the next paragraph, regardless of development, heavy rainfall could cause flash flooding over portions of coastal sections of northeast Florida, Georgia, and then over the Carolinas into Wednesday. So be cognizant of that. And, a little bit gustier winds and some rip current and high surf risks along Carolinas as well in midweek. All right. So that's how that's indicated. The Hurricane Center is keeping an eye on it, but the low center is over land. So the 8 to 14-day outlook, when you look to the following week, it looks like odds favor below normal precipitation, but no major tilt in the odds with temperatures. Maybe a suggestion there that the middle of the country may warm up, and then eventually at some point that heat will spill eastward. So maybe that sort of suggests a warming trend for June. May's been particularly cold. In fact, I checked yesterday, and as of yesterday, the month of May at RDU, it has been the coldest month of May at RDU since records began. So who knows? Maybe a lot of times when these record trends happen, usually a different type of major transition changes it all. So maybe we're in store for some heat. Looking further down the road, maybe in the 3 to 4 week time period, maybe some of that heat spills eastward. We'll see. But certainly, I know I've enjoyed the cool May. So myself personally. So anyway, wrapping it all up, here's the 7-day outlook at the bottom there to kind of summarize it all. It looks pretty gloomy, quite frankly, with high rain chances pretty much each day, starting tonight and Wednesday and going through at least the first half of the weekend. As I mentioned, that low pressure will lift north across the southeast through the midweek period. Wet forecast next couple of days. Moderate to heavy rain is expected Wednesday into Thursday. And then we keep rain in the forecast until a cold front sweeps through Sunday morning. And then after that, it'll begin to dry out. So and looking dry early next week. Of course, in terms of hazards and impacts, that moderate to heavy rain episodes anytime this week could lead to flooding of poor drainage areas, additional rises on the streams and creeks are already elevated, because it's been so wet. So, any type of heavy rain will much more quickly cause flash flooding than it ordinarily would. All right. So obviously you want to stay alert for rapid rises on area streams and creeks and be ready to move to higher ground if flooding develops in your area. And of course, never drive through areas where water covers the roadway. Turn around, don't drown. All right. So that wraps up the weekly briefing for Central North Carolina on this Tuesday. And thanks for joining us. If you joined us live on the webinar or those who watched after the fact on YouTube, appreciate you stopping by and checking